So what we're doing is we're looking at lesson 17 today, where we're going to work out a new way to add some style to our websites, separately than our CSS pages. Okay, we don't have to necessarily always have, one style sheet apply to everything. We can actually define in our style sheet some specific classes, and then apply a class just to a portion of a page. Okay? So it says here, like, this will allow web developers to treat groups of elements they want styled differently than other elements of that same type. So you might, maybe you want to style different paragraphs for different sections of your page a little bit differently. You don't want to just apply the same paragraph style. You want to have some options and choices. Okay, so this allows you even more control to improve your website. Now, let's take a look at this sample web page on the very next page. Okay. So here was a web page that someone put together. What can you tell me about what you see on this screen? Do these three sections all look the same?
No.
What's different?
They each have different fonts for them.
Okay, they seem like they have different
Well, not
fonts,
different fonts, different colors.
different colors. Now, can you do that if you're setting up like, hey, paragraph, do this? And yet, like, how else do we do the color so that we can change it? Okay. Now, here's something that you can do for when you go to a page like this. Especially if you have a mouse, it's a little harder on a Chromebook, and I don't even know if it's possible on a Chromebook for you guys. I right-click on this, and you get this menu. That's normally where we're doing the save as, or we like copy a photo, stuff like that. If I come on down, there's this thing called View Page Source. And when I click on View Page Source, here's what pops up. Okay? So if you look here, some of this other stuff is, kind of beyond us. This is stuff that, Code.org has added in because it's hosted on their particular site. But if you look at the basic HTML, we start off with the same stuff, exclamation dog type HTML. Start with the HTML tag. Here's our header that includes our link to our style sheet. Here's the start of the body. Okay, our first heading or headline. Then the paragraph. Now this is something that you haven't seen before. Image, class, equals. And so for everything in that first section with Martin Luther King, they set up a class called Dream. And by doing that, just copying and pasting that is actually what is changing that particular section to that particular style. Okay. If we go down a little bit further, we have an image class, H2 class. The class used for these particular HTML tags is all JFK. Okay. And then there's a class that was set up for Lincoln. But everything else is stuff that you've done before. The only thing that's changed is we now have this extra thing where we define a style as a class. And so every time we want that particular style applied, we're saying use this class. And we can have multiple classes within a particular style sheet and apply to the web page. Okay, so I'm going to click on continue, and we're going to work out how this works. Remember that there's also these little tips up here where they show you how to set up a class, set up a rule set. rules can be added. Why does the selector have a period in front? Now this is specific to the class. Okay, this right here. You notice that for these classes, when we set them up, I wish it would only select this. There we go. No, maybe, sorta, kinda. In CSS, a period in front of the selector means that the selector is the name of a class. If there is no period, that means that the selector is the name of an HTML tag. Okay, so when we do stuff for a whole paragraph, we were doing things where we said, okay, paragraph, and then we had that curly brace, we set up the different rules, and we closed the curly brace, right? And this applied to everything that was paragraph. Or if I said image, IMG, same sort of deal. When I've set up a class, I just put a period in front of it, okay? And then I will name the class, and you can use pretty much any name you want. You know, class dice. And then I set things up the same way, set up my rules that I want to use, and close it up. But this applies to everything that's within a paragraph, and then this will supersede that and say, okay, for this particular one, I want you to use this. You know, whenever I add this into my HTML, that's where I want you to use that particular style. So it's a little different, but allows us more flexible options. Okay, so it says here, oh, and let's look at this last one here too. Why would a web developer use classes? Like it kind of seems pointless in the fact that we think that, hey, we're already defining all this style in a style sheet. Why would I need to do it? It gives you that fine, you know, the fine tooth, you know, fine detail, zero in on the exact style that you want. Okay, when they want to style a particular tag a little bit differently. So it says find the CSS rule set that makes the images at the top smaller than the ones at the bottom. You know how you can have these little thumbnail images? So we're going to go to the style sheet. Okay, and we have this thing called top image right here. And it's at the height, the border radius, and the margin. Now you notice that the height here is 50 pixels. It says, add a new rule to one of the classes and check to see that it affects only the images in that class. So how many different classes do you see? Only two. There's classes that were set up for the top image and for the main image. Let's see where those are applied in the index. Okay, I see top image being used in all of this area here, which are these 4 images. So that image class was used 4 times for top image, and then there were main image, main image, main image, main image. So each of these had a larger main image down below. Now, why do you think they would put like 4 small ones at the top here and put these larger ones down below? What do you think their purpose was for this? Like if I zoom all the way out, why would they put all these things really tiny at the top? Can you guys think of a reason?
Because they look small like that, but they want to like start scrolling down to like see the big one.
So you think it's a matter of this way they would say, oh, here's what's here, and then start scrolling down?
Mm-hmm.
here's what I think. No, I could be wrong too, like, who knows? But I was thinking that these could be linked later on, that if I click on one of the small ones, it will take me further down to the large ones. So I don't have to like go scroll. It also depends on how the whole page is set up. But I could like click on that and it would take me to it. Like it's kind of like an anchor to say, oh, take me there. Either which way, it could be it. You know, this gives you a preview, and then we want to see these bigger pictures. Okay, so what we need to do, according to the instructions, is we need to add one rule to, well, a new rule to one of the classes, and to see that it affects only the images. So on the style sheet, maybe we should like make it a really big border somewhere. Let's make like a border width. I think border width. Let's say thick. Refresh. Well, that really didn't seem to change much of anything.
Ooh.
What am I missing, Mikey?
I added a 0 after the 5 and the border radius, and I added a border style solid and a border color blue.
Oh, let's try the style. Border style. Let's go. Let's try groups. See what happens. Okay, so we have this little beveled edge. There's a dotted one. So all you want to do is make sure that you can see that it only applied to those images. Add one thing, check out how it changes things. Really should see some typing. You got a question?
Yeah.
You may. So what change did you make? Remember, we're making a change to those classes. You're not even there.
Yes, here, bro. I'm just trying to find, like, it was just,
I think you just like close it down or something.
I was just seeing it. Like, I literally just was on it.
You know what, guys? You gotta stay with me if we're gonna do nice things, right?
Hello there.
Yeah, I know, you said you added a bunch of things, and I believe
I
you.
added only 3 things. A 0, so look.
Yeah, you told me, I believe it. So it looks like everything looks like way rounded, and it was blue, and we have something.
But it's
to say.
perfectly centered now. It looks better.
Okay, I'm not arguing. But guys, if I'm taking the time to go through it like step by step, why would you not follow along?
I can't even see the border back here.
Well, that sounds like a personal choice, dude.
I know it's just, I'm not.
So take your pick. Like you can come up front and you can see, or you can continue to do your own thing and just figure it out on your own
I
and end
can
up with
still
whatever group.
listen to you,
Uh-huh.
and then just do what you say.
Hasn't happened yet.
I wasn't gonna.
When I start correcting you, it's best not to try to provide excuses, right? Cause it just never goes in your favor. So like, do you guys prefer it if I just let you do whatever you need to do and I'll just grade whenever? nice by allowing you guys to do this. Like if you're having trouble seeing, I can make it a little bit bigger, yes. You could also sit a whole lot closer, there's multiple seats available.
Yeah.
We have the lights down so that we can see this better. But if Miss Lisa can see it at her age, you should be able to, I'm sure, see it as well.
Yeah.
Hold on. You're doing fine, Michael. That's really only changing that. There we go. A little bit better? Maybe?
Maybe.
So all I did was I changed here the border style in the end. There's a whole lot of choices that you could make. We just need to see that once you add something, how it affects that particular portion of the webpage. Because there's only 2 classes that you could edit. And for those that are wondering, once again, it says lesson 17, CSS classes. The third bubble is what we're on. For those that are needing me to say it.
I changed it like
Okay.
I just had a complex thought about code. How did they code it to make it where it accepts code?
That is a much more complex concept, and if we have the,
Time at the end.
we won't even cover it this class at all. We cover things more like that in the AP Computer Science Principles class. We're not even offering that this year for the high schools. Michael, I really need you to sit flat on that seat though. Okay? But yes, it takes a series of things to actually code the software to accept the code for other things. The more that you get into computer science, the more you're gonna be able to understand that and develop that for yourself. But it's not something that we're gonna touch this year. We're touching more what we can do with code, not how does code work. Okay, so I'm clicking finish. Assuming that I can move on, assuming people still want me to go through step by step. We good with that?
Yes.
Okay? Like the research, you can do that on your own, you should have done that, and I realize that some people are still working on it, but focus here. Do the other stuff on your own. Okay? So this is, it's kind of different, like, you know, Texas will tell you that some of these lessons are actually a little bit different from last year. I don't remember this one at all from last year.
I don't know.
They have one on classes, but I remember something about seasons. I don't remember this. Okay, so it says look through the code to see how the class sanguine works. So this, you can see, all has a particular color. Okay, so there's the picture. If I look at my style sheet, I can see that this dot sanguine sets up the style where we have a solid 3-pixel border. That it's colored dark red. And that the font family is supposedly cursive, but it doesn't look terribly cursive to me. It looks like Comic Sans. Okay, it says add a new class for one of the other humors, and then add the class and rule set to the CSS file, and add the elements to the class in the index.html. So we could do this choleric. It says that humor comes from having too much yellow bile. So you could, and it might even turn your skin green, so you could pick some sort of weird like yellow or green or yellow-green color. Melancholic comes from black bile, so you probably want something kind of darker, grayer. Phlegmatic. They don't seem to show like a color for that, so you'd have to figure out what fits for you. I'm tempted to try this choleric, just because, you know, we could see what kind of weird yellow or green colors we could find. So what that means is I need to come in on the CSS. And I think I'm gonna try this easy way. I'm gonna copy, select all of the ones from the previous class and paste it. But I'm gonna change this so that it is Polaric as the class. Now you notice once I did that, did it change anything down here? Why not?
Cause you gotta add it to the HTML.
Yeah, we haven't added anything to the HTML. We're just starting to define another class. I like this border size. I don't want dark red though. Let's see if we can find a different color. Yellow, ooh. There's a yellow green.
I'm running it to melancholic, so I think I'm gonna do blue.
Yellow, green.
Yellow.
Yeah, and I would just move this chair over a little bit since I actually have that down. Okay, and still no change because we still haven't added it yet to our HTML. Now I can refresh and save all I want. It's still gonna look the same. I've defined a class, but I haven't applied it anywhere yet. And so like you can sit there and type it all by hand, or you can copy and paste and make the changes. It's up to you. Now, how do I remember that this is a class and not just part of the other rule sets? There's our little note. That dot at the start says this only applies
When you apply it.
when you apply it in a specific location. Can I move over to the HTML? Okay. So in the HTML, switch back over to the index. You can see that for this paragraph here, from the H2 to the end of the paragraph, they have for each element applied the class. So we're going to actually need to do the same. Okay? Again, I can take this and go, let's copy the exact way that this looks. And I'm going to come down to this image source and insert it. And if I do that, you know what happens? It actually put that same class that was there previously around the next one. But I don't want it to be the sanguine. I wanted this to be polar, or whichever one we're applying. And when I do that, you can see that now that has a green outline.
Wait.
It's applied the class that we defined in the style.css.
So,
How the way are these real?
The humors,
Yeah.
honestly, there are still some people that believe in this.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of. It's more of an old-fashioned medicine view of things, but it still persists in the fact that there are still people that, people and cultures that feel more like this. But like, if you would have gone back to, 17th or 18th century, I'm pretty sure they would have said, oh, well, the reason why you're not feeling well is you have too much of this humor, and so they would prescribe things in order to counteract that and reduce that. I'm not going to say it was the most accurate medicine, but like everything over time, as we gain more information because of the technology and what's available to us, we have a better understanding of how the world really works. But at the time, it's like they used to use leeches in order to, draw blood away from you because that was causing problems. It was just like, there's all sorts of crazy stuff. So this isn't really real, other than the fact that, yes, this was something that people believed. And so this is kind of more of a history thing than anything something else. It says a long time ago, before modern psychology, some people believed that their personalities, you know, that they had their personalities because they had extra different liquids in their blood. For each different type of liquid, having extra would give you one of the 4 humors that's like your personality. But they would treat it basically as medicine. And so every time I want this green, I'm going to need to apply this color slice. So now I need to add that into this H2 tag. I need to add it into the paragraph tag. And it's made everything there. And then that's it. It was just those 3 places, and then we're on to this melon column. So at this point, you can see, if I bring this out, now everything that used to be red, now this is green, and these other ones are still just basic HTML. What?
Do you want to see mine?
Sure. Anyone have trouble applying this throughout their paragraph? Looks really good.
Thank you.
Okay. Could I do the others? Yes, they haven't asked for it yet. All they asked was add a new class for one of the other humors. Anyone need some help on this, or should I move to the next one?
I think we can do it.
Okay, we will pretty shortly.
So,
What do you copy and paste? Okay, what I did is I took where they had the class previously. So then I said, okay, say, Control C. And then every place where we want, class applied, we're gonna come and go Control V. But, with that, we're also going to need to make sure that we change it from that. And now, we hit refresh, we find our dot. Let's go back to this side. You didn't find it. So what I do here, again, copy. And down here, paste. And change this to the other name. But you'll need to come back to the index page, and you need to apply that for the picture, the header, the headline, and the paragraph. Does that make sense?
look,
Okay. So, we're gonna take that image class, and what you need to do is copy that, and put that inside of that tag, and then it has to be in the middle, it has to be right after H2, but before that ending. We're gonna have to move space. No, between H2 and class. Perfect. And do the same on the paragraph, right after the P and before the.
Is last one it's not showing the January first.
The thematic one?
Yep.
Thematic.
Oh, I didn't.
Is that it? I don't know. Look. is A-N. You know the difference, I know you do. It's, right now, Texas was like, well, why is this not working? Why is this not working? And so he had, you know, a class that was defined, class defined, but he was trying to type it by hand, and that's an easy way to end up with those typos. And he had reversed 2 letters. And I went, oh, someone else. Like, I don't know that name. And so it wasn't applying what he was trying to apply. And sometimes you can find those mistakes yourself. Sometimes it just takes someone else to look at it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like you trying to explain it to someone else. You just don't know. Can I move on to the next one?
We have 2 minutes left of class.
Okay.
It's just a warning.
Okay. Thank you so much for the warning. You guys are like ready to go, huh?
Definitely.
No, I don't wanna like.
Michael's just gonna stay overnight and learn all the coding, all like over the next 24 hours.
Yes.
I think he'd be happy.
That's just fine with me as long as I get to go home.
Oh no, you have to stay and listen to him.
That would be pain.
Okay, we'll start on these tomorrow, guys.
Yes.
But why?
But why?
I don't want to go